Love Podar, Student Manager, Balaji Institute of International Business, feels very proud to introduce you to one of the great corporate leaders, Mr. Saurabh Nigam. Mr. Saurabh Nigam is the Vice President, Human Resources at BEROE Incorporation, which is a unique market intelligence company helping several Fortune 500 clients generate significant savings in the sourcing and procurement departments. At BEROE, Sir leads the human resources function globally and is responsible for setting up world-class HR practices in the organization as well as formulating and executing the HR strategy in alignment with the organization vision and goal. Sir is a Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Telecommunication from the Army Institute of Technology, Pune, and holds a postgraduate diploma in Personnel Management and Industrial Relations from XLRI School of Business and Human Resources, Jamshedpur. He also holds the SPHR, GPHR, and HRMP from SHRM, USA. Sir comes across as a culturally sensitive and a cutting-edge visionary with an extensive experience of over 9 years. His track record includes setting up of HR function from scratch in both small and mid-sized organizations, leading strategic initiatives towards compensation and benefit management, improving HR systems, policy reforms, and process enhancement. With the backing of his varied experience and an ever-increasing desire to add value to self and exceed organizational expectations, Sir has risen up the corporate ladder at a fairly young age. He is the recipient of HR Leadership Award from the Asia Pacific HRM Congress 2010 and the Young HR Professional of the Year at Asia's Best Employer Brand Awards 2012. He is a regular speaker. He is a regular speaker at many conferences on topics ranging from compensation, talent management, and Gen Y. Apart from his academic and professional pursuits, he also has keen interest in cricket, biking, traveling, teaching, and public speaking. Sir, our audience would like to hear you. The podium is all yours. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Okay. What do you call the batsman who goes in and bats last in the match, in the team? Okay, yeah, so this is my experience of being a tail end here. Okay, I know it is difficult, right, because the match is almost towards the end and you have to score a few runs, last ball, last over. I can see a lot of restlessness amongst you as well, and it's always 3 days. But I was going through the list of speakers. It's ominous, considering that a person of the stature of Mr. T.V. Rao was here earlier in the day speaking to you. And Rohit and some of the others would agree with me. He's one of the legends of Indian HR fraternity. So consider yourself extremely lucky that you got to hear from him. As I said, it is difficult when it comes to the last session, right? And you have braved it enough. I'm not going to take too long, but first of all, let me thank everybody from the Institute, including Bala sir and your entire team, as well as your colleague Neelam and Love, who have been extremely helpful in coordinating this entire event. This is the second time I'm visiting for a conference like this to your institute, and it's always special considering the amount of interest and the kind of questions all of you ask. So what I'm going to do is, this was what was told to me, that I need to talk about contemporary issues in business and HR. By the way, how many of you here are from HR background? Okay, very few. Good, helps. Considering that very soon some of you, those of you who are in second year would be moving into your jobs, into the industry very soon. Those of you who are in first year, just about a year more to go. What, according to you, would be one of the biggest challenges, would be one of the biggest issues, and one of the biggest things which we as in the HR fraternity right now are grappling with, trying to understand how best we can do this, according to you? Some thoughts. And, sorry? Attrition? See, attrition is always an outcome, as you rightly said. It is one of the issues, but it's an outcome, right? So it's an outcome because of things which have not been done correctly, properly. And so it is an issue, but yeah, not the biggest. Talent? Drench. Crunch. Okay, closer, very close. What else? And let's keep it very simple. It's not a very difficult thing, and I'll talk about it in my next 10 slides. Yeah, anyone else? Managing? Okay, even closer. I think Mr. TV Rao did some survey also on that particular bit. I just saw a paper out there. Sorry? Gen Y. Generation gap. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, that is the closest answer I've got till now. The biggest challenge which we have now is, how do we manage and attract the Gen Y? I'm assuming most of you belongs to this generation. What is Gen Y, by the way? After 1990? Yeah, around mid of 80s. People who are born around mid of 80s and beyond that, which I'm assume would be most of you, right? Yep. And to us, that is one of the biggest challenges which we are facing as an HR fraternity today, that how do we attract people like you, okay, to come and join our organization. Think about it. It's a topic which is extremely relevant to you as well, because it will help you understand that what exactly do we think about you, okay. Why am I saying that it's the biggest challenge? Why am I saying that, you know, attracting people from this group is going to be a challenging. Managing them would be even bigger challenge. Does anybody have an idea why am I saying that this is going to be a huge challenge, or this is a huge challenge for us? Say it louder. Diverse culture they come from. That was the case earlier as well. That's not the point. Expectations. Okay, good. Let's make it interactive. That's the best way to kill sleep. Trust me. If I go on speaking, you'll feel sleepy. Okay, so let's make it interactive. Okay, why do you think it's difficult to attract you people? Why is it difficult to manage you? Let's see how much you know about yourself. Sir? Okay, so you're saying that people from your generation would like to have options like work from home and things like that, and it is one of the difficult options which we have to grapple with? Yes, good.
Sir?
Yes?
Sir, in the earlier times, which means the generation X or earlier generations, whatever the difficulty is to mingle with them, and means the difficulty is how will Gen Y means mingle with them and will lead to the organization's
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much for putting it very, very correctly. You know, why it is the biggest challenge? Because for the first time in the history, in organizations we have people from almost 3-4 different generations working together. Okay? And that makes it complicated because the expectations, the aspirations are very different from generation to generation. Okay? And that's what makes it extremely, extremely complicated to manage. How do you manage this? Incidentally, I was also working with Ayatollah Birla Group as Rohit, and that's a prime example. Here is a group which has got 4 different generations working together over there. And it's not just one organization. That's what the phase every organization is moving into. Therefore, how do we manage the latest generation, that is your generation, which is moving into the workforce now, is going to be the theme of my presentation. I'll take about 10-11 slides, about 30-35 minutes to talk about that. You have any questions at any point of time, feel free to. I'll also try to make it as interactive as possible. Okay, I'll start with a video clip which pretty much tries to define what this generation is all about, what your generation is all about. Okay, I'll need sound.
The stage gonna work the flow. Ain't nobody gonna tell me no. I'm not stop. I don't drop the beat. No, I'm right on cue. I rise to the top. Well, I got the money and I got the time. Self-made, I'm self-paid, you know, 'cause that's who I am and that's how it goes. I own the show and that's how I roll. That's how I roll. Come on, come on. I am who I am. Watch me work it, work it, work it. Yes, I am who I am. You can take it, you can leave it. 'Cause I am who I am. Watch me work it, work it, work it. Yes, I am who I am. You can take it, you can leave it. Can't you see? I just wanna be what I wanna be. And I'm gonna have the time of my...
All right. What happened? Good music. Put an end to it. Okay, well, I'll leave this clip here. Don't worry, you can watch it again. Yeah, it's always good to know about yourself, right? Okay. So why is Gen Y vital? The previous clip, by the way, some of the statistics which were presented in that clip. is corresponding to the US market. So don't get worried about the fact that only 54% of the Gen Y have college degrees. That's the US market which that clip is talking about. Incidentally, does anybody recognize that clip? What is that clip from? Let's see, are there marketing students here? Okay, so you should understand what that, you should know what that clip was all about. It's a marketing advertisement of one of the big organizations in the world to attract Gen Y. Okay, it's the advertisement made by a company called Amway. Have you heard about that? Okay. They were one of the first few organizations to venture into and trying to understand how best they can attract Gen Y, and this is one of the clips which they had made. All right, so why is Gen Y important? Let's get into that and let's start talking about that. As that previous clip suggested, almost 50% of the workforce today constitutes of Gen Y. That's people like you and people from your generation, and it's only going to increase, right? So we're saying majority of the workforce is comprising of Gen Y. A survey done by Harvard Business Review and Mint together suggests that more than 64% of the high potential employees and 55% of the middle management employees are from the Gen Y. Okay, that's a huge number. If 50%, as I said, by 2025, it will be the majority of the workforce. People from your generation would form the majority of the workforce by 2025, which is just about 12 years from now. All right, and therefore, clearly, the future of the businesses, global businesses across the globe, across the world, not just India, rests in the hands of people from your generation, people like you sitting in this room and across. All right? And therefore, one of the gentlemen by the name of Dan Schwebel, okay, he's the founder of Millennial Branding. In fact, he's the person who helped Amway design the previous clip which was played. He says, according to his research, only 7% of the Gen Y works for one of the Fortune 500 companies. Again, this is US data, this is not India data. Only 7% of the people from Gen Y works with Fortune 500 companies, because majority of them are working with companies which are relatively new, different, niche, and so on and so forth. And just understand, therefore, what is the challenge in front of those Fortune 500 companies, that they are missing out on a group of people which are going to be the majority of the workforce in 10 years down the line, right? Because they're not just joining them. And why? We'll talk about that in the next few slides. Right? So it is hugely important. The world is recognizing there is absolutely no denying the fact that how do we manage and attract people from your generation is extremely critical for any business. Because 10 years from now, and today you are 50% of the workforce, 10 years from now you will be the majority. And unless we are able to figure out how best we can attract and manage people from your generation, it will be difficult for organizations to sustain themselves. All right? So, perceptions about Gen Y. Okay? And this is an interesting slide. I will spend some time because I need your inputs. How many of you have heard people, especially elders, say one or more of these things about you? That you're spoiled, you're lazy, you have poor work ethics, you have little respect for authority, you have hugely unrealistic expectations, and you lack social skills. Anybody who's not heard these statements about yourself, not your brother and sister or your friends, anybody who's not heard at least one of these things being said to you by your elders, professors, parents, raise your hand. One person? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, less than 10. Those 10 people, please meet me outside the room. I would really like to know about you. Okay? All right. By the way, I'm not standing here to suggest or say that all these things which have been written down here are correct about you or about your generation. In fact, according to me, each one of them is absolutely wrong. And I'll tell you why I say this, okay? Incidentally, I belong to an organization, BEROE, as was said a few minutes back, which is fairly young in itself. We are an organization which is just 6 years old. The average age of the employees in my organization, we are about 500 people strong organization, is about 26 years. Okay? 95% of the people in my organization are from Gen Y. Okay? So in last 2.5, what I'm presenting to you are my experiences in managing this entire Gen Y workforce which is existing in my organization. All right, so based on that, according to me, none of these are true, right? And let's start with the first one. We say, and I've heard it a lot of times myself, Gen Y being spoiled. And to me, the question is, and I think the reason why it is being said so often that the generation is spoiled is because very easily we try to pass the buck onto the generation, little realizing the fact that it's we, the elders, the generation before yours and before yours, who have converted this generation into a generation which believes they can achieve anything. They can get whatever they want to, right? And therefore, failure is a difficult thing to accept in the generation, right? How many of you will accept failures very easily? Huh? How will you react really violently if you were to fail or, be in down and dumps? And therefore, these are the characteristics which have been built by us, right, by parents, by elders, by professors, by teachers, who suggest that you're a special generation. You are. I mean, there are multiple things which are good about you, and I'll talk about those in the next few slides. And therefore, to term you as a spoiled generation would be an incorrect statement. And therefore, same thing applies to things like being lazy and having poor work ethics. I think this is a generation which is extremely technologically savvy. You're extremely connected. The world of LinkedIn's and Facebook's and Twitter and whatnot is the world which you exist in. And therefore, it's very easy for you to find alternate ways of doing things much easier. Okay? I'm saying this because as we do research in my organization, we do research and consulting in the space of procurement and supply chain. And we do research in some extremely tough commodities. And I'm giving these examples, as I said, because whatever I'm talking about is based on my experience in the last 2.5, 3 years managing HR at BEROE. We have people who are fresh out of campuses. In fact, some of your alumni are part of BEROE. And they do research on some extremely tough commodities. They do research on commodities, so specialty chemicals, oil and gas and basic chemicals, things like, I can't even pronounce them, things on which if you type on Google, you will not find any web page. This I am saying is true. Okay? They are researching on things about which the data, the information is extremely rare to find out. Still, they're able to crack those research studies, they're able to crack those reports, they're able to crack those commodities and convince procurement and supply chain managers in some of the best organizations across the world about their research. Right? How are they doing it? They're doing it by using the power of technology. You have a question? You have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
What are the companies saying that we should recruit Gen Y generation? We have other
Okay, my last slide will talk about that. What do we want in people from the generation? Hold it. Okay, and it's a perception, and I'm not ascribing to it, and therefore, in fact, I should do this. To me, these are not true. Okay, so don't get worried. Don't get worried. There is a perception. There is no denying the fact because apart from 7, 8 people in this room, everybody has heard these things about yourself, right? So there is definitely a perception. Right? But we also need to understand that these perceptions are not entirely true, right? When we say unrealistic expectation, for example, one of the points written over there, people having unrealistic expectation, I think they have a right to have those expectations which are extremely high. Why? Because you are much more aware about yourself, you are much more technologically savvy, you are much more connected, you are much more aware. I was astounded by the kind of questions you were asking in the previous session, right? And therefore, if failure is not easily acceptable to you and you can do whatever it is required to ensure that you succeed in life and succeed in your career, having high expectations is not a wrong thing. Okay? Finally, lacking in social skills. And this I've heard multiple times. Even my seniors in the organization talk about that, these kids which you're bringing into the organization have absolutely no idea how to talk, what to talk. They don't say good morning to our CEO, they say, hey, Whale. That's his name, by the way, right? I think it stems from the fact that this is a generation which is connected via mediums like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. And the entire modality of being connected, socially connected, is extremely difficult in the virtual world compared to the physical world. Right? And therefore, just because the generation is connected only virtually or majority of the people are connected virtually and not physically, just to therefore term them as having low social respect, I think is wrong. All right? Therefore, the perceptions are such, okay, and I've just put down 6 things, and I'm sure there are multiple such things. The point is, these are just perception, but perceptions become reality if you don't do anything about it. All right? So the reason I put this slide is for you to also introspect. Is there any truth in it? Are you really lazy? Okay? Or do you really have no command, respect for authorities and elders and so on and so forth? That's a question you need to ask for yourself. As far as I'm concerned, these are not entirely true. Okay? So if those are not true, what according to me are the characteristics which define you, people like you, people from Gen Y? And here are some of those. Extremely young, obviously, you know, born 85 and beyond, so you are young, smart, and highly self-directed. When I say self-directed, it's the kind of motivation and enthusiasm and the willingness to achieve success which I see in people who join BEROE and when I come to campuses like yours is extremely positive and extremely heartening to see. You seek advancement opportunities. There's absolutely no doubt about it. We find it difficult at times to see to it that, you know, we are able to provide advancement opportunity to each and every person within the organization and person who rightly deserves so. And that's, as I said, is not a wrong thing. It's not a bad thing to have in the organization. Right? If you have a bunch of people who are highly motivated, highly charged up, who would do anything which is required to succeed, why won't you provide those opportunities for them to advance? Why would you have systems which say you have to be in position X for 5 years, then only you can move to position Y, and then another 5 years, then you move to position Z? Why? That has to change. Questions? Already? Okay. Right? Therefore, absolutely, and it is a positive thing to emanate from people from your generation. Extremely tech savvy, I've said that before in the previous slide. Multitaskers, right? You can manage multiple things at the same time. Do you agree to that, by the way? Okay. Not like us, or not like my father, who can do only one thing at a time. So if he's booking a ticket on internet, a train ticket, and I ask him to, you know, go, I mean, if my mom asks him to make a cup of tea, he'll say, no, let me first book, then only I can put a cup of tea onto the gas burner. All right? Or things like that. Only one thing at a time. You people can manage multiple things. Thanks to the technology, obviously, but thanks to the attitude of yours as well. And finally, highly results-oriented. One of the things, the biggest challenges which we faced about 2.5 years back was our performance systems were highly subjective in nature. Okay, so we had some 15 different things which people were being assessed on, and half of those things were based on the comments or the reviews which the supervisor or the manager would give to the person. And we started facing huge issues, right? Because people in the organization started saying that, I don't understand why I'm not getting a good rating. I did whatever you asked me to. These are my results. My clients are happy with my reports. Why shouldn't I get promoted? Why shouldn't I move on? Why shouldn't I get that increment? Or why have I got a 3 on 5 rating when everything else suggests that I am a 5 on 5? All right? So highly results oriented. I'll talk about it, about this particular challenge which we faced in my coming slide, that how did we evolve into a much more objective based performance management system which exists in the organization today. All right? So those are some of the characteristics which I see in the organization, my organization, which is, as I said, 95% made of people from Gen Y. You agree to this? All of you possess this, by the way? You do? Okay. All right. So what does a typical person from your generation want? All right. As I said, beginning of the presentation, I'm going to talk about how do we attract and manage people from your generation. And therefore, it is important for us to understand, what do you want? What are those expectations? What are the things which a person from this generation is looking forward to? And I've divided it into 3 segments. Let's start with the boss, your supervisor. Because as you join your organizations, your companies, your frame of reference would be your supervisor. How many of you have worked before, by the way, in this group? You have, right? So do you agree to the fact with what I'm saying, that, you know, your frame of reference, your entire world as you join an organization, at least for the first couple of years, is revolving around your supervisor? Yes? No? Right? Yes? No? Yeah? And therefore, the first set of expectations comes from the supervisor itself, right? That my boss should help me navigate my career path. Okay? First of all, tell me what the career path itself, right? So today I'm starting, and I'm using example from BEROE. So today I'm starting as a research analyst. How do I become a senior research analyst, lead analyst, domain lead, category manager, and so on and so forth? Okay? Not the time frame. How? What do I need to do to move from point A to point B? All right? That's number one. Give me straight feedback. And this again, I'm going back to the same example of a performance management system was highly subjective in nature. If I've done a good job, say it on my face. If I've done a bad job, say it straight. Okay? Let's not beat around the bush. I've seen it enough number of times. That's one of the expectations. Mentoring and coaching. All right? People expect to learn from their seniors, their peers, and gain from those experiences. They have an expectation that there should be more and more development programs, and I'll talk about this. And allow flexible schedules. Somebody mentioned that, right? Here, flexibility in work. Yeah? Would you like to have a flexibility in your work, by the way? Yeah? So for example, in BEROE, we have a policy wherein we don't have a specific start time and end time to office. So we don't work from 9 to 6 or 10 to 7. So if you were to ask me, Saurabh, if you were to join BEROE, what is going to be my work timings? My answer would be, it's going to be completely flexible. You can start your day anytime in the morning from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. You can end your day depending on when you're starting your day. Okay? That kind of flexibility exists. Unfortunately, not many organizations give that flexibility, right? From the company, one of the biggest things which I keep hearing is, what is the company doing to add value to me? Okay? I've done my MBA, I've done my graduation, I'm an engineer from XYZ Institute, I've come here, I'll be doing research, I'll be doing consulting. What is the organization going to give to me in terms of enhancing my skill sets? Okay? In terms of adding value to me. Alright? People from your generation respect organizations which have strong values. Okay? Rohit talked about integrity at Aditya Birla Group. I've seen people, my batchmates, my colleagues, ex-colleagues in different organizations struggle to attract people who do not have defined values in organizations. So it's extremely important for us to have those values and demonstrate those values to you. Customized reward package is extremely critical, right? So I'm going to put my hard work, heart and soul into it. What am I going to get out of it, right? And be absolutely clear and objective about it. Allow to blend work with life, which stems from flexibility, and clear career paths. That's an oft repeating statement which I'll keep on making. And finally, to learn. As I said, this is a generation which is extremely connected, strong, very, very knowledgeable, very smart, and therefore, for them to have that continuous learning is extremely critical. Okay, so how do I enhance my technical skills, improve my productivity? How do I become a good leader, right? All of you want to become a leader at some point of time? Want to manage teams, right? You're doing an MBA, so the expectation is that you're going to be a manager on day one, right? It doesn't really happen that way, right? So how do you enhance your skills of managing teams, supervising people, leading men? Industry, functional knowledge, depending on which function you're part of, innovative strategies, okay? Those are some of the things which people want or are looking to have. And they're also talking about having social media at workplace, right? I talked about the fact that we do some really tough and research by the help of technology, by the help of the social media, right? And if I were to, ban this social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, I'm inhibiting the power which this generation brings with it, right? People, workers, and peers and bosses who are open to questions. And it was very evident in the previous session the kind of questions all of you asked. You ask your questions because you have that inquisitiveness to know more. Okay, I'm assuming that. You're not asking question for participation. There are no marks here, right? Do you get any marks, by the way? You can tell me. Yeah? All right, so it's a good thing. And therefore, some people are not tolerant about those questions, right? Why the hell is this junior, the guy who's just joined the organization, asking me so many questions? I've got 20 years of experience. That's a typical response you will get, in an organization which is still trying to find its feet in terms of managing people from the new generation, right? Therefore, we need to have a culture which accommodates those questions which come from people like you, right? People also need to understand how are they contributing to the company. So I am doing this report, I am doing this research. how is it going to impact the organization? What value am I adding to this organization? That's a question which very often gets repeated. Work flexibility, work mobility, I've already talked about. That's a huge, huge expectation which each and every person from this generation expects. All right? Therefore, I've talked about the characteristics of Gen Y. I've talked about what do typical Gen Yer wants. All right? And therefore, as an organization, how do we attract Gen Y? Now we know, right? As per my experience, as per our research, we know that this is what the characteristics are, this is what the expectations are. How do we attract? These are some of the things we do. Okay, I'm going to start with attracting Gen Y, and I'll talk about how do we manage, right? First thing is to attract people. So tomorrow, if my organization comes to you, comes to this campus, how do we ensure the best brains, the brightest people in this group, or, people are attracted towards sitting for the placements? Not just because they want a job. Okay, in fact, last year when I was here, this is what I was talking about. Do not be in a hurry to just join a company. And I'm sure most of you are not, right? Because you're pretty much aware about your strengths and weaknesses, what you want in life, and therefore wait for the right opportunity. Can we be that opportunity, right? That is a question, that is a challenge which we face as an organization today, and therefore, so the things which we need to do and which we are doing as corporates are, we're trying to build a corporate culture which is focused towards ensuring that your expectations are being met by us, right? So I give an example of flexible work schedules, for example, right? Job flexibility, challenging work. More often than not, somebody talked about attrition as one of the challenges. Yes, definitely attrition is a challenge, but as I said, attrition is just an outcome. One of the key reasons for people leaving the organization, and I'm not saying this is the only reason, one of the key reasons is because they find work to be extremely boring, mundane. Will you stick, sorry? Somebody said something? Okay. Will you like to be at a place where your work is extremely routine, extremely mundane? Same thing, you go in, start your work, 9 hours, same work, 12 months in a year. Would you like to do something like that? No, right? And as I said, therefore the challenge for us is how do we make your work interesting and challenging? Okay, how do we provide those new challenges to you every single day, which helps you keep you on your toes, ensure that you're learning, adding value to yourself, and soon become redundant. Okay, just think about it. How many of you want to grow very fast? Right? How many of you want to be better than the rest of the people in this group, in this hall? Not so. There are people who don't want to be like that. Okay, so you want to grow fast, you want to move faster, you want to, be better than the rest. Do you think if each one of you are doing the same things, you will be better than the rest? You will be same. You will be similar, right? You got to do something extra to be better, right? And therefore comes the third and the fourth point. You need to adapt very, very quickly, and comes from the first point. Organizations are changing very, very rapidly, very, very fast. Not every organization is going to be like Nokia, okay, which failed to change. Organizations are changing extremely fast. They are innovating. They are finding new ways of doing business. They are going into new geographies. They are looking at different customers, different product lines. So today, if you join an organization, 1 year down the line, it might be completely different. Can you adapt to that change quickly? Okay? Are you an individual who can, anticipate that change coming and therefore do whatever is needed to succeed in that environment as well? Will define whether you can be better than the rest. Right? So if there are 100 people in an organization and the company suddenly says, okay, now for example, if today suddenly Nokia says that, okay, we are no longer going to be in the mobile market, we'll do something completely different, and suppose 100 people are working in that organization and 95 say, oh my God, this cannot be done. I cannot. I have made mobile phones all my life. Now they're asking me to make video cameras. I cannot do it. Do you think they will survive in an organization like that? They won't. Right? But those 5 who adapt, either by learning the technology, by learning themselves, or by reading, by enhancing their skills and knowledge, they will survive. All right? And therefore it's a lesson for you as well. What do you do to ensure that you are adaptable in nature of the things which are happening very, very fast? And finally, how willing are you to go an extra mile to succeed? It's all good and well to say that, I want to be the best. I want to be the best manager. In 5 years' time, I want to be ahead of my peer group. Okay? I want to grow fast in my career. It's all good to say that. I'm sure everybody has that burning desire. If you don't have that, then ask yourself why you don't have that desire. You should have that desire. But understand, just having the desire will not help. Okay? You need to have that willingness to go an extra mile. Because as I said, if all 700 or I don't know how many people are sitting in this, if all of you do same 10 steps in 10 things in next 5 years, keeping aside the luck factor, all of you would be in a similar position 5 years down the line. All right? So are you willing to take that extra mile? Are you willing to run that extra mile? Is something which we look at, by the way. Okay? Because understand one thing, just as you have the desire or people have the desire to, succeed and succeed faster and grow fast and, be the best or be better than the rest, even organizations have that desire, right? So for example, at BEROE, we have the desire to be the best procurement consulting organization in next 4 years' time. All right? Now, in that process, we have to do multiple things. We have to come up with different service offerings. We have to ensure that the client servicing is proper, clients are happy with us, and multiple things. We are going out on new industries, new clients, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, who's going to run the show? The show is going to run by people like you and me in that organization or any other organization for that matter. And therefore, if I have a bunch of people in the organization who are saying, it's okay, let's go slow. Let's not have this ambition of being the best in 4 years' time, best organization in 4 years' time. If everybody starts thinking like that, then there is no way that organization can be the best in next 4 years' time. Vis-a-vis, if everybody is charged up, everybody is focused on the fact that, we want to be the best. Everybody is focused on the fact, as I said some time back, that, we are looking to create experts and specialists in different industry areas to the tune of being the best in the world. If everybody is attuned to that and are doing things to become the best, okay, make yourself capable, learn new things, learn your industry, learn your domain, learn new ways of researching, there is no way, no reason why the organization will not reach there. All right? So those are the only 4 things which we look at least personally I look at when I'm new in this room, account for almost half of the workforce today. They want recognition, they want learning, they want growth, and that too fast. All right? And therefore, it's high time for us, corporates, HR practitioners, to start looking at what are the processes which exist within the organization so that we are able to attract, motivate, and retain people like you because you are the future. There is absolutely no two ways about it. And as I said, millennials or Gen Ys are here to stay. You will only become the majority workforce in 10 years time frame. So that's not going to change. Right? You can't change the population segmentation which exists. Therefore, the onus is on us to ensure that we are providing that mechanism enablers within our organization. The onus is on you as well to see to it that you have those 4 qualities in you to succeed. That's when the match happens.